Hello, church family, and welcome back to another episode of DCC Daily. My name is Frith, and I get the pleasure of serving as Pastor Ben's project manager here at Downtown Community Church. And while I have plenty of hilarious stories I could share with you about our pastor, as Ben himself would say, that's another podcast for another day. Today I'm going to be sharing with you about my friend Mary, who I met at the first ever Saturday morning prayer we did back in January. I went to her after Saturday morning prayer and introduced myself to her, and she said that she'd actually just signed up for my community group that week and that I would be seeing her that following Monday. So Monday came and she showed up at my community group. I was naturally thrilled. So at the end of group, I paired myself with Mary to pray over anything that she might be currently struggling with. During this time, Mary shared with me that Saturday morning prayer was the very first time she had ever prayed out loud for someone. And even though she expressed feelings of inadequacy, she said that she wanted to pray over us. Guys, that's big. I was so moved by this expression of faith. Likely because I grew up in the church, so for me, prayer feels more like muscle memory. But for others, Mary included, prayer can feel like a foreign language and one that has a steep learning curve. This can make the prospect of prayer so intimidating that many don't even cross the threshold to attempting it. But Mary's story shows us that prayer was never meant to be intimidating. Spending time with our Creator, either in our head or out loud, should be a peaceful resting spot where we remind ourselves of what prayer's purpose can be. A means of tapping into the presence of our God, bringing to Him all that is on our hearts. Mary took that next step of obedience that Jesus was calling her to, by not only praying out loud with her peers, but by inviting prayer into her daily rhythms. She shared with me that attending Saturday morning prayer challenged her to be more consistent in her prayer, and as a result, she felt a deeper intimacy with God. I was so honored by Mary's vulnerability that I asked her to get coffee with me that same week. It was over the course of coffee that Mary shared with me about her faith journey, and in a sort of roundabout way asked me to meet up with her weekly and disciple her. I couldn't say yes fast enough. And now we meet up every week and talk about how Jesus is moving in our lives and what pursuing a passionate, intimate relationship with Jesus looks like in the day-to-day ordinary life. And part of that day-to-day relationship with God, of course, includes a studying and present diligence in prayer and making known our requests before the Lord. For those of you who are listening, I want you to know that you have the opportunity to step into that same boldness that Mary did. Whether for you that looks like inviting prayer into your regular rhythms of life, spending consistent time in the Word, or sharing the gospel with your friends and family. Whatever act of boldness Jesus is calling you to, I pray you respond in obedience and invite Him to lead you in those steps of boldness. I'll leave you with this encouragement. Ephesians 6:18 says, "And I pray in the Spirit on all occasions, with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people." Can you imagine what we as a community of believers, uninhibited by fear in our prayer life, can do for God's kingdom here on earth? What would happen if we prayed bold prayers and took bold steps of obedience? I challenge you guys to do just that this week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of DCC Daily. Remember, you can keep up with our church on Instagram or Facebook, and to access any previous sermons, go and visit our YouTube, and of course, on our Sunday services are both in person and online at 9:15, 11, and 8 p.m. Remember, Saturday morning prayer is happening this Saturday, March 13th, from 10 to 11:30 at DCC. And I hope, like Mary, you attend and begin to use prayer as a stepping stone to growing your intimacy with God.